Frozen 2 is tracking to have a huge opening weekend. That is the headline on this Monday's MBE Movie News.
That is correct, John. We are only 7 or 8 weeks away from its release now, but obviously, as you said, the tracking has begun and there is predictions of a huge opening weekend for the sequel to the 2013 film.
Yes, Stephen, this is coming in from Cinema Blend, incidentally. What a start I'm having here. It's tracking between $115 to $145 million of an opening weekend. Now, Stephen, they're saying that obviously, because we are, as I think you alluded to prior to the show, still about 7 weeks or so away from this movie's release. I do believe it's mid-November.
Yeah.
There's still nuances and time for things to perhaps change, good or bad, for that tracking. So they are going straight for the middle, Stephen, $125 million of an opening weekend, which, as they do say correctly, would be an outstanding outlook for the Disney film. I think it would put it right up there, Stephen, with one of the biggest animated openings of all time. Certainly it would be right up there with one of the biggest openings, I think, for Disney anyway, for 2019, just shy of, I think, Captain Marvel it was, without looking down at the article for way too long. Captain Marvel had a $153.4 million opening, and it would just be behind that, and then I think it's perhaps neck and neck with Toy Story 4. So it's a very good start for Frozen 2, Stephen. What do you make of it?
What I make of it is it's a film that I'm looking forward to seeing. I know my daughter is as well. It's been long awaited. It's nice to see that we're getting a Disney film that's not live action as well this year. So that'll put a lot of the sort of mourners to bed as well. They're getting an animated film, traditional animated film that is. I think I think you're right. They're playing it safe. It's right down the middle, those tracking figures. But I think it won't be that far off it either. I don't think there'll be much sort of alterations in the next 7 or 8 weeks.
You could see it being marked up. Yeah, it's highly possible.
And it's great as well because when I was reading this article earlier, Disney have came such a long way with like sequels and things like that, successful sequels. When you look at the likes of their traditional films, where we got the likes of The Jungle Book 2, back in the day, it was a straight-to-video release. The Lion King, Simba's Pride, which I joked about last week, straight-to-video.
That will come.
I think those, but I don't think it'll be straight-to-video.
It will rise again.
I think it'll be a successful sequel. And that's the point I'm trying to make now, John. And Frozen 2 is not any different. I think we've came such a long way. Disney have came such a long way, I should say, with their franchises. And Frozen 2, although we had to wait longer, obviously, for the Incredibles sequel. I think it was just over a decade we had to wait for that one. But for this one, I think it actually does say in the article that the original film wasn't expected to do much. In fact, I think it came in second in behind The Hunger Games Catching Fire on its release. So it shows that the story it's a universal story as well, John. We've both seen Frozen back in the day, and it was an enjoyable film. Such a memorable soundtrack as well. Great characters. You've got Josh Gad's Olaf in there as well for comedic levity. So it's got all the right blends. And from what I've seen, I know we didn't do the trailer reaction for the trailer that just dropped, John, but I did watch it. And it's got all the right ingredients that were there in the first one. I can't wait to see it.
Yes, Stephen, every film which features Josh Gad's magnificent dulcet tones is usually going to do pretty well. Even the likes of, I think he'd done A Dog's Purpose and A Dog's Journey. Not the greatest movies you'll ever see in your life, but they were pretty damn good and they were elevated by that man's tones. He was in the live action remake of Beauty and the Beast as well. And he's also, as you did say, plays Olaf in this, one of the more memorable characters from the original Frozen. Stephen, it's going to be a tremendous success for this movie, and it may be shocking the usual pattern we see with sequels, where it's sequel syndrome and perhaps ever diminishing returns. It would be a very strong start for the sequel, because I do believe the original Frozen had just over or just shy of $1.3 billion worldwide, so that would be a very strong start, and its opening weekend to already be hitting between $115 to $145 million. And if we've seen anything, Stephen, it's that there's usually a real desire for certain demographics to go out and consume good animated Disney movies. So if anything, I could see it getting higher to that $145 million, if not perhaps even topping it slightly.
Yeah.
But I did say it was neck and neck with Toy Story 4, those figures. It actually opened to $120.9 million, and look what happened with that, Stephen. It grossed well over $1 billion.
Exactly.
Captain Marvel, it was actually coming in at fourth. It would be the fourth biggest if it hit the $125 million mark. Obviously, if it gets closer to 145, 150, it's really starting to compete with Captain Marvel as the biggest opener of the year, which is absolutely crazy to me. That can't be right at all. Endgame surely had a bigger opener than Captain Marvel. I know it did, so completely scrub that bit. Talking crap there, but it would be up there in the higher echelons of box office openings. Yeah. And Stephen, they do allude to it here, you're right. Frozen opened up perhaps slightly less than this. There was less knowledge on what we were getting with that original movie. There wasn't that established fan base.
No.
We didn't know these great characters. We didn't realise how promising and earworm-inducing a score it was going to be. Now it's firmly established. We've had a few years. I can't actually recall when the original one came
2013.
out. 2013. So that's a solid 6 years, Stephen. So we've had a bit of time to build up anticipation. Some of the original children watching it back in the day will be a little bit older now, but not so old that they can't go in and enjoy it. I'm sure it will open hugely to a wide array of adoring fans and demographics. I'm 30 years old. I will go and watch this movie in the cinema, Stephen, because I have been intrigued by the trailers, and I fully expect it to be an absolute success again for Disney. They've just knocked the ball out of the park again and again and again this year. And it will be over $1 billion for sure. Whether it beats the original 1.27, I think it was, billion, time will tell. But look, Disney aren't caring. As long as it breaks the $1 billion mark, essentially, they'll be over the moon. So hopefully it does.
2013 film, John, it's never went away. If you think about it, it's people still.
Did it not get re-released? Or was it a special for Christmas?
Well, I think it was the Olaf one that came out a couple of years ago. It was a sort of short. I don't know if it was maybe 30, 45 minutes long. It was actually quite decent, John. I watched it last Christmas and it was really good. But we'll move on to our next article. This is the Irishman's reviews. Phenomenal film, scores 100% in Rotten Tomatoes. John, what's your take on this?
Absolutely over the moon, Stephen, I have to say. One of my most anticipated movies of the year.
Yeah.
It's Martin Scorsese, as we said before, Joe Pesci, De Niro, Pacino. We just found out Ray Romano's in there as well. Harvey Keitel. It has got one of the best casts, Stephen. I seen someone make a joke about Endgame. Can you have a better cast assembled together in a film? And then it's something about the Irishman, Hold My Pint or something like that. Yeah. They're stepping on board. Well, yes, you can. When you've got those list of actors I just rhymed off. Yeah. Stephen, we spoke about it before we came on. When you combine Scorsese with that cast, with this genre, that period, they just know how to do it, Stephen. They know how to do it well. And I'm not surprised to see it's being welcomed warmly by the critics. It's got over, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. That is outstanding. Whether it remains that high, you always get one little git in the corner who will hate upon it just because they like to be different. So maybe it will not quite maintain that 100, but if it even gets close to it, Stephen, it's going to be one of the highest rated movies ever, I think, on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a passion project from Scorsese. How many years has this been in the works?
Over a decade.
Over a decade.
At least, John, yeah.
And then obviously with all the de-aging, it was required to do this story justice. Paramount ran away scared with that budget. Finally Netflix took it over. And it's great for Netflix as well, Stephen. This is back-to-back years with Roma and now The Irishman, where they have released two monumental, potential Oscar-winning movies. But we'll get into the reviews, I'm sure.
I mean, I've been a subscriber to Netflix for probably about just under 10 years now, so it's I've been there for the journey with them, when you look back at what they were, they were more or less a library of old films when they first came on the scene, and look at them now. And as you said, John, Roma last year, a big success for them. Just I'm not really going to read, I don't know if you want to, but I'm certainly not going to read.
They're very long reviews,
Steve. Read word for word.
Some of them are very, very cool.
One thing I've noticed in most of them is no one mentions the de-aging, so it's not an issue.
I seen one, but it wasn't too bad. They says de-aging technology doesn't always cast a perfect spell, but essentially the movie zips along at such a pace that it's spellbinding, it's a satisfying clip. The flaws rarely amount to more than mild speed bumps along the way. So every movie, Stephen, is going to have minor imperfections in there. You're never going to see a perfect movie.
What the other thing I did pick up on as well, John, was that one thing that no one is doing, and I was kind of worried about this, was the comparisons with Goodfellas. There is some people that mentioned, Goodfellas, it's not, it's more of an inverted version of that film. And that's as far as the comparisons go. I'm kind of glad that way, but then again, we're talking about Martin Scorsese here. He doesn't ever repeat himself, even though he kind of boxes himself into this genre time and time again with more or less the same cast members.
It's always a unique voice.
Exactly. Yeah. The films are never, you can never compare them. No. They're all equally good.
And Stephen's just a great guy at portraying this genre, as I said previously. They say that in one of the reviews. It's really a great depiction of these sociopathic underpinnings and damage of that life from the start. It's basically diving right into mafia life. The camaraderie and the money which is just flowing around in those parts. I cannot wait to see it, Stephen. I cannot wait to see it for every single element, the visual element, the acting element. I've seen another review there that says that it's an unbridled illustration of this man's unique voice in cinema, just what he's been able to accomplish for nearly 50 years. This is sort of a culmination of it all. I hope it's not a culmination. I hope we get to see more Scorsese movies.
Yeah.
I believe he is working on one with DiCaprio at the moment, so another one saying it's like a dark painting by Rembrandt, so they're so very positive.
I get what they're saying.
Very promising for this movie.
I understand what they're saying, John. I think this is going to be probably the last time we're going to see these group of guys all together in a film.
Yeah.
The actors, that is, and obviously the director as well, working with these guys. So it's going to be it's a big event. It's a big deal as well. You know, if you've followed this genre for a long time. So it's a genre that's not a lot of people can really master the genre and do it well. So after this film, I don't think we're going to see many good sort of mob films, John, I have to be honest with you. I think with that kind of calibre of cast as well, I think it's a dying trade, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a sort of a culmination, Stephen, of the genre, really, for these specific group of classic actors, which also have great connotations with that genre.
Yeah.
Stephen, I spoke about that previously, I think, on perhaps a reaction video. Someone says that it was sort of this decade's definitive gangster or mob movie. I don't want to label it as an out-and-out gangster movie. I think it's more nuanced than that. There's a lot of stuff going on under the surface, just all the dodgy dealings. We've seen JFK in the trailer. There's obviously links going on there with just CIA, probably, I presume. I don't actually know the story. I'd probably be better reading the book before opening my Q-mouth, as we like to say in Scotland. I'm not even remotely coming at this from a position of authority, but look, that's just what I got, the vibes.
Yeah.
Stephen, final thing I would add on this before we perhaps move on, I do wonder which character it was that Mickey Rourke was talking about. He says he had a chance. Listen, he actually didn't mention The Irishman, but he says he had a chance to work on a Scorsese movie and it was blocked by Robert De Niro. Apparently they have a long-standing hidden feud. I wonder if he was talking about The Irishman. It seems like it has to be Robert De Niro, Scorsese. Who could he have been playing? Could it have been the Ray Romano character?
The only one, it could have been, John, but the only other film I can think of is Joker. But Scorsese was more of an advisor. And De Niro's on that as well, you know, in that capacity, you know, I don't think he would have had much sway on the casting. I would doubt it very much. Robert De Niro, on the other hand, might. So, but I don't know his capacity in that film either, John. But that just leads us into our final article before we move on to box office. It's Joker premiere Disinvites, interview press from Hollywood red carpet. Now, John, as we record this, obviously that's already happened, but doesn't mean that it's not happened, if you know what I mean. What's your take on this, John? Because I know that the studio Warner Brothers, have been very polite in what they're saying here. Basically, you know, I think it's the sort of official version. What they're trying to say is that, you know, we're only inviting the photographers to come down and capture the sort of actors walking along the red carpet. Let's get in there and watch this movie. Let's enjoy it. But I don't think that is obviously what really was going on.
No, Stephen, I think it's just a case of them being sick to death of the criticism, of the hysteria around this movie over the supposed glorification of violence, the over-sentimentality that we are perhaps seeing this character being portrayed with. They're scared, these so-called journalists and reviewers, that us idiots out in the Joe public will be manipulated into being too sympathetic towards this character, and we'll want to go out and commit similar crimes.
It's almost as if the studio were actually just saying, enough with the talk, get in there and judge it for yourselves.
I think that actually says that, Stephen.
Yeah.
I think there was
I didn't read that. I wasn't.
There may have been. I may be wrong.
That's the impression I got.
Yeah, I think it was a studio spokesperson, so technically not the studio itself, just a kind of a spokesperson says, red carpet's comprised of photographers only, and we feel it's just time for people to see the film. So you're absolutely right, Stephen.
Enough with the talk. Let's just judge it on its, viewing, and then you can write whatever you want after that.
But Stephen, my mind's blown by the actual criticism itself. I can't get my head around what the hell these people are on. Why are they criticising and going after this movie so much? It's not like this is the only movie in the history of cinema to ever have portrayed a character that's not black or white, a villainous character, traditional villainous character with a grey in between. Complex, nuanced is my word of the week today, clearly, but nuanced sort of a version telling. This is what's something we have seen slowly been happening. There's been a transition in Hollywood, even in the MCU, to more complex characters who are sympathetic, or the audience has sympathies with them. They can understand their motives, why they've been driven to what they've done, or why they've been shaped into the person they are. We've seen it with Eric Killmonger, we've seen it with Thanos, we've seen it with a whole array of characters. This is just the next step, and perhaps the first time we've seen DC do it. I certainly don't know if they did it in those animated movies, but certainly in terms of live action, I've not seen them do a sympathetic telling of one of the most iconic comic book villains in history. And he's a very intriguing character, Stephen, and I did see Todd Phillips speaking about it.
Yeah.
And just the natural way that the Joker holds himself, it's also from his perspective, this, you can't really take it that serious anyway. You have to take it with a pinch of salt. He may just be absolutely deranged in creating this story, this backstory for himself, and we're getting whisked into his crazy mind. I don't think that is the case. I think they're just showing you a great character study of what the modern day world does to people if they're not ready to cope with it.
I think that's what the fear is though, John. I think that's the fear from these people that have got the concerns, is that sometimes a lot of people in society don't want to hold society responsible for people's sort of down spiral, if you like. But I think a lot of blame
culture, Stephen.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's willing to take responsibility for their own actions.
I'm just waiting to see the film, and then I'll be able to make a judgment on it. From what I've obviously read so far, some of the early reviews coming in, it's very positive from people. But it's just a film that intrigues me because it's an angle I've never seen before from a comic book, a comic book villain. So, and I mean in the sense of fully concentrating on that character. I know, as you said, about the likes of Killmonger and Thanos, John, we did sort of scratch the surface with their sort of motives, but in this one we're going to see it from, I assume, from a very early stage where we'll see a character at the very beginning of the film, and we'll see a different character at the very end of the film. So
I think the stairs are hugely symbolic in the trailer.
I think so.
I watched the interviews, and he was discussing how it's filmed in jittery 25 frames per second, and when it's us viewing it, but then it kind of changes and it's sped up and it's so fluid, the movement, the dancing going down the stairs, that is. From his perspective, he thinks he's so elegant, but from outside we can see that he's completely deranged, essentially. But I cannot think, Stephen, of a better guy to be playing this role. We were speaking about it previously. You never were really, I think you were never really here, was the one we reviewed, or someone reviewed on the blog, and we spoke about it. This guy's done so many great movies which are introspective looking at deeply dysfunctional and lonely people, and just how it affects them and whatnot. They've got their demons. I can't think of a better actor. I know Todd Phillips said he made this story tailor-made for Joaquin Phoenix. If he wasn't interested, it wouldn't have happened. So this is a match made in heaven. Great director, taking a unique telling of this character, not any comic book connections, and a fantastic actor himself like Joaquin, who's, I think he'll get Oscar nominations for this performance. I think it's already in the bag. But I cannot wait for it, Stephen. But look, that is going to round up that topic because I've not got much more to add. I can't give it on anymore. We're going to jump right into the box office section of the show, Stephen. This is for the weekend of, I'll read yours, September 20th to 22nd, 2019. What have we got in number one?
In its second week, John, it's Dowton Abbey, and it's grossed another 3.1 million over the weekend and a massive 14.3 million overall. 14.3
million overall, Stephen. This is a phenomenon. I've seen so many people speak about this movie. Apparently, it's just got a bigger fan base than I ever was aware of. And they are absolutely rabid for going to see it. It's dropped 37.3% in its second weekend. It's actually gained 7 theatres. It's an incredible success for the movie. I can't get budget information, but $107.1 million worldwide already. It's grossed $58.5 million in the States. But as we do know, certain elements of the States just lap up that sort of a posh English period piece sort of a setup. It's not for me. I've not seen the TV show. I'm not the intended demographic, but they don't need me because it's just clearing it.
Coming in at number 2, John, it's Ad Astra. In its first week, it's grossed 1.7 million over the weekend, 2.3 million overall.
Yeah, Stephen, this is also the James Gray, Brad Pitt space exploration movie. I went to see it and it's I think it was actually its opening day. A couple of days after.
A couple of days.
I really enjoyed it. It's polarising audiences. I thought it was fantastic. Great inward look at this deeply troubled guy. Like I was saying with Joker, not quite as deranged as that when the looks of it though, but great story and phenomenal performance from Brad Pitt. 89 point something, just shy of $89.1 million worldwide. It's an okay performance. 2.2 million in the United Kingdom for a slow burn space exploration movie. It's okay.
Decent,
I don't know if it'll make a profit because I don't have budget information, but hopefully it does because it was a fantastic movie.
We'll be talking about it more in depth this Thursday, John, anyway, on the blog rundown. But coming in at number 3 this week, in its third week, it's It Chapter 2. It's grossed another 1.4 million over the weekend, 16.2 overall.
That's a very good performance, Stephen, for a horror movie in the United Kingdom. We do know they don't do that great over here for some reason. I don't know why, but I think there was such a established fan base after the It Chapter 1 movie from a couple of years ago that they've went out and roundly supported the movie, and that's been echoed across the world. It's doing very well in all markets. $417.4 million worldwide. I think it's still sitting second though, quite a bit shy of the first hit movie, so but they'll not care. It's a 3-hour movie. There was talk that perhaps no one would go and see it, but Muschietti's been vindicated, as has your man Skarsgård, so we cannot really ask for more than that.
Certainly not, John. But coming in at number 4 this week, in its first week, it's Rambo Last Blood, and it's grossed £1.1 million overall.
Yeah, Stephen, I'll wait to see this one as well. Another movie which has been destroyed by the critics. I think it's got 27% or something on Rotten Tomatoes, which is just a scandal.
Yeah.
We spoke about it anyway on one of the shows last week. Just a classic Rambo movie, really. Slow in the first half, goes apeshit crazy in the last half hour, full of violence. Stallone does what Stallone does. $46.7 million worldwide, just a $50 million budget. Not quite broke even yet. Even, that was a double use of the word even there. Even Stevens. Will it make a profit? Lord knows. Have the critics won over and pushed their anti-violence agenda again? Not that there's anything wrong with being anti-violent, but when it's in movies, get a grip.
Exactly.
Lord knows.
Exactly, John. But we'll move on. We're halfway through. It's Hustlers coming in at number 5 in its second week. It's 1.1 million over the weekend, 3.3 million overall. 3.3
million, Stephen. $95.4 million worldwide. Just a $20 million budget. I believe this is a Cardi B biopic. If you know who Cardi B is, then you'll know who I'm talking about. If you don't, probably you, Stephen, then God, I wish I was you. But she's loved by some people. I don't get the fuss myself. But apparently the movie's great.
Yeah.
J-Lo's in there. There's a couple of good actors in there. I think Cardi B may be in there herself. It's apparently fantastic. I think Campea went and seen it and he was blown away by it as well. So maybe I'm missing a trick here. But it's doing very, very well.
Yep.
So hats off to it.
At number 6, John, in its 10th week, it's The Lion King, grossed another £400,000 over the weekend, and a massive, monstrous £73.3 million overall.
£73.3 million overall. Stephen, I'd love to get that top 10,
for
top
a film
15.
That was panned by the critics.
Yeah, hollow and soulless. Yeah. I'd love to get that top 15 or maybe 20 at an absolute push and see where it sits in there. It must be really creeping up towards that top 10. The last I looked, I think it may have been a Bond movie, Spectre or something, which was 80 odd million, so it must be getting close to that top 10. Fantastic film, I loved it. Was it as good as the original? You're really comparing different beasts entirely.
Yeah.
I thought it sits perfectly as a sort of a self-contained separate story, if that makes sense. We will see spin-offs. It's crossed $1.638 billion worldwide, $260 million budget. Fantastic performance. Have been vindicated once again for the remakes of live action. Animated movies.
Coming in at number 7, John, it's Casino Royale in its 16th week, 4 months now.
Oh no!
It's grossed another £300,000 again, and it's grossed overall $8 million. Just over £8 million. Sorry about that. I just can't believe this. How long
Steve,
this
I'm
has
just
been in the box office.
I don't have to speak about worldwide figures because it's not been released worldwide.
It's not been released anywhere outside that one
London,
theatre.
London, yeah, secret cinema.
Wow.
I'm not going to talk about it anymore.
No,
16 weeks is ridiculous.
Move on, yeah.
Ridiculous.
To number 8 this week, it's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it's 6 weeks now. It's grossed £300,000 and £20 million overall.
Yeah, 58.1% drop, 6 weeks in. It's starting to tail off quite a bit, Stephen. It's dropped 78 theatres. Not a good sign when a movie drops off dramatically in terms of percentage drops and theatrical drops. 6 weeks though, can't really argue with that 19, just shy of £20 million performance, $90 million budget, $356.8 million worldwide. It is a fantastic performance. Still second though in the Tarantino universe of movies. If you
it does have that rewatchability, John. As I said, previously, we've been to see this film twice now.
I want to see it again.
I certainly do before it goes out of theatres, because it is a good experience to see this in a theatre.
Music, everything.
Yeah, just the scope as well. Just some of the shots, those long shots that Tarantino is famous for. But listen, we'll move on to number 9 this week. It's Dora and the Lost City of Gold, and it's 6 week. And it's grossed £300,000 over the weekend, £5.5 million overall. Yeah,
just shy of $50 million production budget, $105 million worldwide. It may have just sneaked a sliver of a profit or broke even.
Yeah.
Just about, Stephen. I haven't seen it. It's not for me. It's based on a TV show, Dora the Explorer.
Yep.
It's done okay.
It is what it is,
Much
yeah.
more to add to it, really.
Number 10 this week, John, and it's 14th week now. It's Toy Story 4, grossing £300,000 over the weekend, £65.2 million overall.
Stephen, am I right in saying that this dropped out of the top 10? Or am I hallucinating here?
I think you might be hallucinating, John, because it feels like it has been in there for 14 weeks.
Yeah.
And we have been talking about it for 14 weeks.
It's crazy. And it's just, it's not really moved in worldwide terms. Still over, I think it's $1 billion and $62 million, if that even makes sense. But that's a fantastic performance. Once again, Disney Pixar this time, Stephen. They usually hit the ball out the park. Wasn't a big fan of the story myself, but look, it is what it is. It's a huge performance, success, and they don't care about me anyway, and I'm sure they'll make another Toy Story. But look, that's going to round up today's show. What did you guys make of the earlier topics we spoke about, the likes of The Irishman, the potential success of Frozen 2, and just the other topic we spoke about, the Joker topic, yes, the riff-raff that are doing down on it. Do you agree with the studio? Should they have locked them out? What did you make of the box office numbers as well? Comment below if you've got anything to say. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. Me, Stephen, we'll be back tomorrow with MBE Heroes.